Hey, I'm Logan from Empire, and today we're talking about shoes. All right, so we're talking about shoes today. We get people coming in here all the time to do classes, open gym, anything like that, and we see all sorts of shoes walk in the door, okay? And then we also get a lot of you parents out there. Your kids are gonna start parkour and you ask us, what's a good shoe? What do you guys wear? What should I go buy? We're gonna discuss all that today. Okay, so the criteria. Number one, most important, hands down, numero uno thing is grip, okay? If you don't have good grip on a parkour shoe, you're gonna have a terrible time here, okay? You're gonna slip, you're gonna fall, you're gonna get hurt, and you're not gonna be able to do like 60% of the moves we teach. First things first, let's talk about the worst kind of grip, all right? It's this. This shoe is a foam bottom, no rubber, okay? It's one big piece. There's no rubber on here, it's just black foam, okay? You don't want this. Throw it out, get rid of it, go get a different pair. So what is good grip then? Rubber, rubber, rubber. As much as you can get, the more the better. I got a few shoes in front of me here. It goes from amazing rubber to rubber that will get you by. So let's start over here. This shoe, it's a Strike Movement shoe. That's a great company, Canadian company, super popular in the parkour world. I think all of our coaches at least wear 1 or 2 pairs of these. This model here has a bottom that I like to call the strip bottom, okay? Because you can see we got rubber in these strips, and in between those strips, we still got a little bit of foam showing, but you're getting like 60% coverage with the rubber. So these will do just fine. You'll grip to most surfaces. You might have a little bit of trouble on stuff like the bars, but other than that, these will do you just fine. Next, moving on, this is a Vans shoe. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the company Vans. They make skate shoes. This is their Ultrarange. Again, super popular in the parkour community. If we take a look at the grip, we're doing a little better here, okay? So we got more like an 80% coverage, and you're covering all your main parts here, your heel and the ball of the foot and forward. The only spot that's just straight up foam is right on the arch. Now, that's not a big deal. Like, we generally try not to land on our arches. That being said, if you do happen to mess up a landing, which we all do, it happens. If you do it in these shoes, you might go for a bit of a ride just because it's that foam bottom. Now let's move on to the high grade grip. We got 2 more Strike Movement shoes here. I believe this is the Chill Pill Transit and this is the Interval Knit, okay? 2 models, but they have the same bottom, okay? So we'll just take a look at these ones because these ones are worn out a bit. Full coverage, 1 big piece of rubber. This is amazing, okay? We have no spots where we're gonna slip worse than others, no matter how we land, okay? And one little quick thing before I move on and show you the last model, we can take a look at texture. This rubber on the bottom, ignoring the fact that it covers the whole shoe, it's also a lot more flat, okay? And the flatter the rubber, the less of these grips and nubs that you have on here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's bumpy. The flatter the better because you're gonna get more surface area, which equals more grip, okay? Last example of amazing grip are these Adidas. They're the Adidas 3MC. This was sort of like a breakout star this year, super popular in the community. I know myself and Coach Tyler, we wear these and we love them. Again, full rubber bottom. Don't be deceived because it's white rubber, it's not foam, okay? So we got full coverage, nice and flat, a little bit of texture coming in just for that little bit more bite on those grippier surfaces, but great shoe, okay? Amazing grip. Honestly, a little bit better than these, I would say, but that just comes down to the type of rubber used, but as long as you get anything with rubber covering the whole thing, you're probably gonna be okay. We talked about grip. Let's go to criteria number 2 in a good parkour shoe. Next thing I would put on the list is cushion, okay? So you can go anywhere from almost no cushion to a lot of cushion. Some people like more than others. I personally think the less, the better when you're starting out. Just helps you develop a little bit better technique. It lets you know when you're landing things not the best you could because you're gonna feel it. Whereas if you wear a super thick cushion, thick sole shoe, it's gonna be a little more forgiving, but you might not iron out those mistakes in your technique. Let's start with the Vans, okay? These have the most cushion out of any of these shoes right here, and honestly, they got more cushion than most shoes you're gonna find out on the market. Again, it's a super popular shoe in the community. A lot of the reason is for that cushion, like some people really like it. I'm not a fan just because you don't feel what you're training on as much. And everybody who does parkour knows that being able to feel what you're standing and jumping on is super important, just so you know where you are. But if you're someone who really, I don't know, you get tired feet, sore feet real easy, this might be something that you're looking for. Second one we'll look at is back to these strip bottom intervals. You can see here, definitely a thinner piece of foam on the bottom by a long shot. Also just the type of foam, it isn't as squishy, but these things are gonna give you some cushion. You know, it's not like you're gonna walk around it's not like walking around in worn out flip-flops with these things on. They're still gonna cushion those impacts. They're gonna give you a little more forgiveness if you mess things up, but you're gonna have a better ground feel with these, which is, like I said, super important. Now, if you wanna go a little bit more extreme, really minimal cushion, which I prefer when I train, and I think in the long run it's gonna be better for you. We can take a look at these 3MCs again, these Adidas. You can see this is all a piece of rubber, and if you look inside, which might be hard to tell for you guys, the insole is like the tiniest, thinnest little piece of foam, and then you're just rubber meets the road after that. So these, you're gonna feel everything under your foot, which is great for developing technique. If you mess up a jump or a landing though, you're gonna know. But it probably won't be the end of the world, and you'll be better for it in the long run because you'll avoid doing that again. So yeah, super extreme, no cushion. I'd recommend these, the Adidas 3MC. We talked about grip, we talked about cushion. Third most important thing in a parkour shoe, I would say, is flexibility. If you show up in a pair of steel toes that don't bend, you're gonna have a terrible time, okay? If you show up in some high top basketball shoes that don't really bend, you're gonna have a terrible time. The bendier the shoe, the better. The reason being is because we don't just do parkour on flat ground. It's not like playing other sports like basketball, soccer, football, where it's a flat surface the whole time. We're on all sorts of different obstacles, all sorts of shapes of surfaces. So we want our shoes to be able to mold a little bit and fit around those awkward shapes, just so we actually know what we're stepping on. Let's take a look at first the bad option, okay? These shoes were left here at the gym. I don't know whose they are, but it's a good example of a very inflexible shoe, okay? So the toe in these, it bends okay. The heel though, I can't even bend this thing with my hands really, okay? And if I bend it over itself, we get to like there, all right? So you could wear these, and sure they got the rubber bottom and the grip's probably okay, but the flexibility is just it's gonna ruin your day in class. We're gonna try and do precisions, and you're not really gonna know where the edge of something is. This, super good example of an inflexible shoe, and you don't want that in parkour. Let's skip over to the most flexible shoe that I have here. Back to this Vans. This thing, I can fold it straight over itself, no problem. Got lots of flex in the toe for twisting, and even in the heel, like this thing's heel, I can bend. So that's what you're looking for. Something that can bend in all aspects, all directions. You're gonna be able to land on any surface, and this thing, you're gonna hit an edge, and this toe is gonna curl over, and you're gonna feel where that edge is, which is super important. Taking a look at these strikes, again, super flexible. Not quite as flexible as these, but still an awesome option. We look at the other models too, still great. And then we look at these 3MCs, again, super malleable. Can fold it right over. I'm not even squeezing that hard, okay? So flexibility in a shoe, super important. So you know the three most important things that go into a good parkour shoe, right? Grip, cushion, flexibility. There's also some other criteria, some more minor things that I'm just gonna blow through quick just to give you an idea. So first one I wanna touch on is heel rise. All that means is basically most shoes, like you can even see it in these strikes a little bit. At the back where the heel is a little bit thicker than the toe, okay? So it raises your heel up and it puts you more on the front of your foot when you're standing in the shoe. A more extreme example would be these right here. This is one of the pairs of shoes that one of our coaches has. He might be due for a new pair, but good example of a really high heel rise. You can see the back here, super thick, front, a lot thinner, okay? So these are really gonna put you on your toes a lot more than something like this. These are uniform across the board. This is a flat, neutral foot stance. Again, that all comes down to personal preference really though. You're gonna have to find what's more comfy for you. So yeah, heel rise, it's a bit of a minor thing. Another minor thing is the ankle cut on a shoe. We've got super low cut, the 3MC. That means when you put your foot in it, most of your ankle is gonna be showing, your little ankle bone's gonna be sticking out. You know, it's not much ankle support. which you look for in other sports, but not really in parkour because we want as much range of motion as we can get. Again, back to these ones. This is more of a mid cut. It's gonna come a little bit higher on the ankle, give you a little bit more support, but again, we don't really want a lot of support. We want to keep our ankles nice and free and moving. And then if we look at these Nikes again, these super inflexible, stiff things, this is a high top, okay? You don't want high tops for parkour, all right? You don't want to lock your ankles in place because then we try to do a precision and you're bending at your hips and your knees more than your ankles, and then you're going to get sore in your hips and knees. So we don't want this. That being said, if you show up in a high top that meets all the other criteria we've talked about, but it's a high top, it's not the end of the world, all right? People do train in them. You just gotta leave the top part loose so your ankle can still move. Last one I wanted to talk about was weight, okay? This one really is a personal preference thing. When you're starting out, a heavier shoe might be tougher when you're still just building up your skills and your strength, but in the long run, you might be better for it. You'll get stronger, and then you'll put on a light shoe and it'll feel like you're walking on clouds. These 3MCs, great in all aspects, a little heavy, doesn't bother me, doesn't bother most people who wear them. The other bonuses and the pros make up for that. The Ultrarange though, this thing, lightest shoe I've ever worn. There's almost nothing to it. You know what makes a good parkour shoe now. And more importantly, you know what makes a bad one, so you can avoid them. All these shoes we looked at today, these are not a do or die. You don't need these shoes to do parkour, okay? They're just great examples. They're popular, people love them, people swear by them, so you can't go wrong with any of these. But if you go out to your local Bort Check, skate shop, whatever, and you find some other shoe that fits the criteria, it'll be good. It'll do you just fine. We'll link to these if you really want a pair of these. Other than that, just find something that's got minimal cushion, good grip, lots of flexibility. And when you're looking for a shoe too, I want to touch on this real quick. A lot of sports, when you go to get the equipment, it's real expensive. Parkour, all you need is a good pair of shoes, and really, you don't need an expensive pair of shoes. Expensive does not mean good for parkour, okay? But yeah, that being said, these are some examples. You have the criteria. Good luck shoe hunting for parkour, and let us know in the comments what you find. If you have any more questions, post it down there, or tell us your favorite shoe type. We'd love to hear it. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Logan. Peace out.